How y'all doing, Team Up, and welcome back to another episode of Hard News with Murdock. First off, I want to give a shout out to one of the supporters of the channel, James Coward, because he was spot on in the comment section of my first video covering the impeachment inquiry when he said, it's like when the feds come knocking in your door, they don't come unless they have something. You are 100% correct, because that's the exact vibe I got watching the first public hearings of the impeachment inquiry. Now, things are really expected to heat up because we have the ex-U.S. ambassador to the Ukraine about to come forward and give her testimony, as well as a career U.S. budget official that's about to break ranks and tell his story as well. But that's all things that's soon to come. So let's first take a look at some of the more interesting moments of the impeachment inquiry so far. Take a look for yourself.
It was unexpected and most unfortunate, however, to watch some Americans, including those who allied themselves with corrupt Ukrainians in pursuit of private agendas, launch attacks on dedicated public servants advancing U.S. interests in Ukraine. In my opinion, those attacks undermined U.S. and Ukrainian national interests and damaged our critical bilateral relationship. As a general principle, I do not believe the United States should ask other countries to engage in selective, politically associated investigations or prosecutions against opponents of those in power, because such selective actions undermine the rule of law, regardless of the country. Over the course of 2018 and 2019, I became increasingly aware of an effort by Rudy Giuliani and others, including his associates Lev Parnas and Igor Fruman, to run a campaign to smear Ambassador Yovanovitch and other officials at the U.S. Embassy in Kyiv. During the late spring and summer of 2019, I became alarmed as those efforts bore fruit. They led to the ouster of Ambassador Yovanovitch and hampered U.S. efforts to establish rapport with the new Zelensky administration in Ukraine. In mid-August, it became clear to me that Giuliani's efforts to gin up politically motivated investigations were now infecting U.S. engagement with Ukraine, leveraging President Zelensky's desire for a White House meeting.
I want to emphasize at the outset that while I am aware that the committee has requested my testimony as part of impeachment proceedings, I am not here to take one side or the other, or to advocate for any particular outcome of these proceedings. My sole purpose is to provide facts as I know them about the incidents in question, as well as my views about the strategic importance of Ukraine to the United States. But once I arrived in Kyiv, I discovered a weird combination of encouraging, confusing, and ultimately alarming circumstances. At the same time, however, I encountered an irregular, informal channel of U.S. policymaking with respect to Ukraine, unaccountable to Congress, a channel that included then Special Envoy Kurt Volker, U.S. Ambassador to the European Union Gordon Sondland, Secretary of Energy Rick Perry, White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney, and, as I subsequently learned, Mr. Giuliani. He also told me during this call that the president doesn't want to provide any assistance at all. That was extremely troubling to me, as I had told Secretary Pompeo in May, if the policy of strong support for Ukraine were to change, I would have to resign. Based on my call with Mr. Morrison, I was preparing to do so. Following that meeting, in the presence of my staff, at a restaurant, Ambassador Sondland called President Trump and told him of his meetings in Kyiv. The member of my staff could hear President Trump on the phone asking Ambassador Sondland about the investigations. Ambassador Sondland told President Trump the Ukrainians were ready to move forward. Following the call with President Trump, the member of my staff asked Ambassador Sondland what President Trump thought about Ukraine. Ambassador Sondland responded that President Trump cares more about the investigations of Biden, which Giuliani was pressing for. At the time I gave my deposition on October 22nd, I was not aware of this information. I'm including it here for completeness. As the committee knows, I reported this information through counsel to the State Department's legal advisor, as well as to counsel for both the majority and the minority of this committee. It is my understanding that the committee is following up on this matter.
Okay, I was more than a little skeptical about the approach that the Democratic Party was taking towards the impeachment, because I felt like it's so much financial corruption to be found that if they would have went a little bit more in that direction, they would have found everything that they wanted right there on a silver platter. But it looked like the approach that they picked was the proper one because everything looked like it's going according to plan. And when you have people like John Dean, who was the lawyer who served as counsel to the White House during the Nixon administration when he was going through his impeachment saying things like this, you might be onto something.
Given what you saw today, did this move the needle for any Republican senators who are watching? I find it hard to believe it did.
Picking up on where Carl mentioned that there's a conspiracy, we know from what's come out of the executive sessions generally where this is going. And what struck me today in listening to these two witnesses is they already have more than they had against Richard Nixon to impeach him, just on all accounts. Because the evidence is there. It was my testimony, a few people that were lower in the pecking order than me, and it happened before the tapes. The tapes didn't come. He was already impeached, and then the tapes came out.
The strategy is definitely working because you even have William Barr backing off on key issues when it comes to Trump. Even certain heads on Fox News are starting to come around because you have Judge Napolitano making a statement like this the other day.
Nearly 3 years in office, President Donald Trump has spent federal dollars not authorized by Congress, separated families and incarcerated children at the Texas-Mexico border in defiance of a federal court order, pulled 1,000 American troops out of Syria, ignoring a commitment to allies and facilitating war against civilians there, and sent 2,000 American troops to Saudi Arabia without a congressional authorization or declaration of war. He has also criminally obstructed a Department of Justice investigation of himself, but escaped prosecution because of the intercession of an attorney general more loyal to him than to the Constitution. The Constitution. At the outset of his presidency, Trump took the presidential oath of office, promising that he would faithfully execute his obligation to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. James Madison, the scrivener of the Constitution, insisted that the word faithfully be in the presidential oath and that the oath itself be in the Constitution to remind presidents to enforce laws and comply with constitutional provisions, whether they agree with them or not, and to immunize the oath from congressional alteration. Recently, Trump referred to a clause in the Constitution as phony, and he thereby implied that he need not abide it nor enforce it, notwithstanding his oath.
So I said it before, I'm going to say it again. The building is on fire, and it's only but so many times that you can actually dodge the obstacles coming your way before you actually get cut. So prepare for impact because it's coming. And with that, that's all I have. Like, subscribe if you like what you see. Remember, the revolution is unclassified. Later.